What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. I am the Guitarist 562 and I do video game guides and walkthroughs. And in today's video, I want to show you guys the really good build that I have that I've been kind of gatekeeping for a while because it's such an easy build to get, but also can be kind of hard depending on the kind of player that you are. So I'm going to show you guys the different ways you can set up your build. As you can see with this build, I have 1858 melee evasion. I have only 953 hit, obviously, because I skipped kind of like the blue a little bit and went to the purples partially. I know you guys saw my previous video with the blue build, but now, I'm starting to spec into the purple so I can kind of grow with you guys and show you guys how it's done. But anyways, with this PvP food, it'll count up for like another 100 hit that you don't have. But the main thing that I want to show you, sorry, this is like my arena build because I was trying to keep my healer alive. The main thing I want to show you guys is how things can change by simple pieces. For example, these boots used to be the Glade Stalker boots that gave me 90 hit and 600 HP. So picture 90 hit plus there, that's 1040. And then this gives you another 1000. And then this helmet right here, which we get from Ant Cave, gives me another 1000. So as you can see, I have 1038 hit. Plus the Glade Stalker boots right here would have given me more hit as well. So there's a bunch of cool ways that you can get the stuff that you need because again, your hit as a tank is reflective of your passive skills because of this thing right here. So if you have 20k HP, you're gonna get a lot more hit. So for example, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off this stuff right here and bump my HP up and show you guys what that'll look like. See, 1126. Obviously that's just a temporary thing because it's depending on how much your HP is. But yeah, the build that I have right now is, if I really wanted to, it's the Elusive Weaver hat, the Elytris Invoker gloves, the Night Slayer's mantle. If I wanted more hit instead of the evasion, this is my evasion build, by the way. So let me go ahead and put the helmet back on. I'm gonna show you guys what that looks like. So let me go ahead and go to the guild hall so there's like no distractions. But the evasion build is only good for arenas to avoid getting stunned by greatsword daggers and SNS or greatswords because they're pretty much annoying, or greatsword staff. The problem with this build is, like I said, in this game you can only fight two classes very well. You have a chance at the third, but it's not guaranteed. So as you can see, I have melee endurance for 40, 1858 melee evasion. And eventually, like if you are a true tank, it's going to be 800 endurance, 800 range endurance for both of these. But this is more kind of like an arena build or small scale, or let's say you're constantly running into tanks and you want to just go to the back line and not get stunned. You want to run this because look at my stat distribution right here. I have the Karnix Netherblade Sword for the HP, the 10 strength, and I also have the extra 8 strength right here with the Adentis Gargantuan Sword. I have the melee evasion here that you get from the Ebon Roar Sabatons, and the reason why I kept these two blank is because I want the general helmet and the general gloves, and the reason for that is because the Adentis sword is extremely slow. If you don't have the Adentis sword and you use like another sword like the Magna Fury Warblade, or if you have the other Butcher's Great Sword, they do hit faster than the Adentis. But if you want more power, you're going to want to go for the Adentis Greatsword. But the problem with it is just it's extremely slow. So you have to kind of spec into attack speed. So as you can see, like if I go into my Greatsword Dagger build, same setup, you're going to notice that my gloves switch to the Dust Blood gloves because I don't have the General Frenzy gloves. I still have 1696 melee evasion, but my hit completely declined because of that. So I'm gonna slow down my talking so this kind of makes sense, because a lot of this needs to make sense for you guys to utilize all of the benefits in this game. So again, right here you can see I have 50 strength and 50 perception, and as you can see my hit dropped down to 810. That's a problem because if you don't have high enough hit, you're not going to be able to hit your targets. In arenas, most of the staff players don't have they have like staff players or range players, they spec into melee evasion, so it's hard. You need to have at least 13 to 1400 hit, plus like I said, if you have a staff user as your healer, he's going to give you an extra 400 hit with their passive, the Lotus, or Victorious Energy. That's why this build isn't all that good. So if you want to spec into that hit, you sacrifice these 3 or 4 pieces, you can get more hit, and I'll show you right now. So let's go ahead and go back, and I'm going to show you how my hit can completely change on the blink of an eye just by slotting in specific pieces. So again, copy the build, Visor of the Resistance, Night Slayer's Mantle. I just bought this one because I started doing arenas more frequently. Everything's fully traded. I can fully trade that too. Bracelets fully traded, all that. Belt of the combat prowess. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put on the pieces that I was telling you about. So now I have the other cloak here. My melee evasion is dropping. As you can see, it's gonna keep dropping. It's 1728. Now my helmet, I'm gonna get rid of that and put the elusive weaver head. My hit's now 1149, and now I have the gloves. Now this one I can't because I just transferred over my Gladestalker boots, but just to kind of give you an idea, I dropped that down, and now I lost 3 perception, and I can't really reach the stats that I had before. I think I can only go up to like 40, but as you can see, I went from 800 hit to 1200 hit before food. And remember, I can always, like I said, with those HP buffs, you're gonna get a lot more hit altogether. 1279 hit before buffs with the food is going to give you 1379, so not including the other stuff. So both viable builds. I don't like to, I can always say it's a pretty good build. I have most of my guild use it for tanks, greatsword users. They usually run melee evasion and ranged evasion, so when they roll they can get stuff. There's 2 different types of builds that you can do, but that's a whole different video. But again, I pride myself in not gatekeeping information, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys all this other stuff. You could still use other greens for this. You can get even further, but to kind of help you understand, if he has 1000 hit, you need about 2000 evasion for it to be 50%. Anything less than that, if it's like 1000 hit and he has 1500 evasion, it's like a 33% chance. So for the 50-50 miss, you want to have that. And people think that you need to spec into some of this stuff. You can, but ultimately, if you have high melee evasion, the stun chance and stun resistance, this is irrelevant. The one thing I will say is really cool is the collision resistance. That's kind of OP. But you need to stack high enough. As you can see, my base is 235, so you need to have like 400 collision resistance for it to be relevant. But anyway, that's like, this is the hit build that you have. You get this from, you can go ahead and look at the build right here. I'm gonna click every piece so you can see for yourself. This one, like I said, I slotted that. This is if you want full hit, but the problem is, look at my melee evasion. It's only 1246. With my daggers as my main hand, they'll be like 1346. What daggers? What? I'm tripping. I'm on SNS. You gotta remember too, because of your passive right here, this one increases magic and ranged evasion, so that gives you a 300 extra evasion on your already existing stats right here. You might not think it's a big deal, but for like lower tier players that don't have any more than 300 or 400 hit, like you can actually stack this up to get like 800 ranged evasion just by base. So I'm gonna go back to my main, my arena build, because I've had a lot of greatsword users there, which a lot of people who are like staff dagger, you can copy this build too. If you, that way you can be in arenas, spec into melee evasion and melee endurance. Right here's my strength, and then where's the purple boots? Now I have that. I have to reset my stats. This is for the attack speed, because let me take this off so you can see how slow the Adentist sword is. So when you charge up, look at that. Look how slow it takes for me to do that. You gotta remember too that this also, I have this ring too. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off this ring so you can see how truly slow it is without the attack speed. My attack speed right now is 0%. Now look. And look. That stun lasts 3 seconds. By that point, they've already rolled out. See? This one stands 4 seconds. So that one would work, but the other skills, it would not. So now let me show you what it looks like when you have more attack speed with the actual setup with the ring and the gloves, which is extremely important. And until you get the general gloves that give you the attack speed, you're going to have to do this as kind of like a cheese method to kind of compensate for the lack of speed that you have in your gloves. So let me go and find the general gloves right here. The Dust Blood. See, I have a base attack speed 4.9 and attack speed built in. Let's reset the stats here so you can see that you can still reach the breakpoints that you want. I don't think I'm going to be able to get 50 perception. I have to switch to the Elytra's gloves. Yeah, see? I think I can get to like, nope. I can slot in dexterity right here. And you can see I still have 1766 melee evasion, and now look. Still 2 seconds left. And my attack speed right now is 15.6. When you potch Da Vinci's Courage, your attack speed jumps up to 36%. Do this skill right here, you get 45% attack speed. With the right skill specialization, of course. This is why it's extremely important that you run the right stuff. and it's only for 3 seconds. But again, when you're doing arenas or PvP, you have a short window to dump out as much damage as you can. To kind of give you an example of that, I have 22 seconds. We'll show that again soon. But personally, the way I like it, I can kind of sacrifice this and put on these perception gloves, but be mindful of what you're doing with how it affects this. As you can see, I have low hit chance with this build, and I'm not a fan of it. But for the people that I'm going after, 800, 900 hit chance is just fine. So if I'm like in GVGs, I'm gonna get rid of this because I don't need 1800 melee evasion. That's just ridiculous. Like I'd want more hit chance. And this is like a mixed blue and purple build, so you guys can see for yourself. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the thing. Da Vinci's. To just kind of show you guys, obviously I'm skipping the combos that would, you know, like CC chain, but just so you guys can see like what you can get done in that little time frame. Ultimately, you can decide whatever you want, but it kind of sucks right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and slot this back in because we don't need that. And I can go back to the build that I showed you, which is 60 strength and 50 perception, because you want the 50 strength really, and you want the 50 perception for the range and the extra DPS. So here I have 1858 melee evasion. I have 953 hit before food, 1153 with hit. It's not the best build for large scale. I would say it helps, but this is like a pretty good all-purpose build for most builds in this realm. But again, like I showed you the 2 different builds. There's a full melee evasion, and then there's the one with hit. I like the hit one because you can actually hit more targets. They can't get away from you. You can kill other greatsword users, other tanks, because you have like 1400 hit. The problem with that is you compensate that by not building into too much melee evasion. You actually build up into like 800 melee endurance instead, because you know that you're not going to be able to evade all attacks. So you want to be able to survive a lot more. Even like, for example, like look at these pants. I have 60 strength, 50 perception. My melee evasion is 1858. Now, like I slot into these, even though they're like almost fully traded, I missed out the other ones. My melee evasion is not too different. The biggest thing about these pieces of gear is like the raw defense, which actually helps a lot. People try to go into DR, but that's a whole different conversation, and I'll explain that later. And I know I'm kind of like rambling and going off on a tangent, but I want to show there's just so much information to kind of share in this game to get you guys like built. So like look, 263 defense and range defense 288, 200 and 219. So that's gonna stop me 63 plus and then 88 plus. You know, obviously I'm averaging a little too much. This one gives me melee and ranged evasion, but this one only gives me 152 and dex. So your call on which one do you think is more better. I like this one better, even though like it gives me less raw defense. It gives me that 170 ranged evasion. So if I really wanted to spec into that with that 300 in my passive, I have 800 ranged evasion around enemies. So yeah, there's just it's just this game is really fun. Like honestly, like there's so many cool things you could do with this game, so many different ways to build, and it's just a great game overall. And I hopefully like this will help you decide whether you want to go full melee evasion or full ranged evasion. I mean, I'm sorry, full melee evasion, or if you want to go the hit route. But there has to be a proper balance. So this is just me showing off that as a free-to-play player, you can definitely get this, because like look, mostly blues, this you can get in the lithograph, this you can get in spider and cave, you can get this from crafting from dungeons, you can get this from your open dungeons, this is from Silaveth, this one you can get from your dungeons. This is the only one that's going to be kind of a whale or giga chad. You have to go into your guild raid. But I can safely say this is probably one of the better builds or best builds for tanks for greatsword, because there's no one that's going to be able to really like kill you as a tank. Now magic will destroy you. Ranged can do a lot of damage, but they won't be able to kill you because you can kill them before they kill you, unless they're longbow staff, what they have like the purifying stuff. That's a whole different conversation. But yeah, go ahead and try this stuff out. Again, Glade Stalker boots. That's the build that I used for the longest till I transfer over to the Ebon Roar boots right here, Sabatons, and then save these 2 spots for the general helm and the general gloves. And this is probably the best PvP build for sure. Obviously slot into this one too if you want. But again, I still haven't fully decided on a belt yet because this blue belt is pretty OP. I do have the Butcher's belt, which is right here. I have the Flame Right bindings as well. I have max HP, but look at the stats on this purple and look at the stats on this blue. Like you can ultimately see for yourself that just because it's purple doesn't necessarily mean it's good. I just realized I just talked for 14 minutes. I apologize. But yeah, that's so much information to give you guys as SNS Greatsword. You guys know I played in KR, and I'm just trying to pass off the information that it is possible here. I did not spend too much in this game. You can get all these blue pieces for super cheap if you really look at the market. Like, for example, I'll show you right now. Visor of the resistance right here. 100 loosen right here. For literally 20 bucks, you could probably buy all the blue pieces. I mean, you can farm all these pieces for free, but if you want to get there fast, for 20 bucks, you could literally make this the beast of a tank right now. So, and if you guys want to see my arena ranking, here you go. So you can see, oh, it's not showing. That's unfortunate. But I think it might have reset actually. Yeah, maybe. I know that I'm rank 69 on the server right now, but whatever. Thanks, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm gonna do a more in-depth guide and show you guys how this build actually works. But let's do this combo for one last time so you guys can see. Well, there's different things, but yeah, it's really cool when you play with the team. So that's it for today's video, and enjoy. I'm gonna show you guys the best long range staff dagger, longbow dagger build. That's full purple for later tomorrow. So take it easy, guys, and as always, stay blessed.